So I'm really honored and privileged to have three distinguished gentlemen with me here. Chris Harris, Freddie Flintoff, and Paddy McGuinness. I'm going to say thank you for being with me because I'm in your presence. Am I right?
Oh, pleasure, Deon. A pleasure.
Cheers, Deon.
Pleasure, boss. Pleasure.
Right now, guys, season 31 is upon us. There's 5 episodes coming our way in South Africa on BBC Brit. It starts on the 25th of November at 8 p.m. And I'm sure South African fans are excited to see the new season. You guys have been away for 18 months of travel. Tell us, what has it been like for the last 18 months not being on the television screens, not even being there to travel? What has it been like?
I think just the interesting thing with Top Gear is people, when there's a series on, will go, oh, why are you only doing 4? Why are you only doing 5? And what have you? But it's because it takes that long to make, because each episode's self-contained on its own, whatever we're doing. And there's a massive team behind it that, unfortunately, it takes us a while to get the series on, but just because, so we are actually always doing something. People think we're kind of sat at home, watching telly, but we are out working. But it just takes that long to get it on the screens. And but I can't wait for you to see this new series. There's some great stuff in it. And we've got first foreign trip abroad as well in it, which we've not done for a while, hence, the pandemic.
Okay. Anybody else wants to share about it?
I think, we've managed to travel a bit. We've sort of exhausted our domestic travel. We've just been going around the UK, exploring every corner of it. And actually, up until very, very recently, I think we were all enjoying that. It reminded us that none of us really like airports. So spending lots of time on an aeroplane isn't always the best thing you can do. It's a bit wasteful. Yeah. But we've exhausted that now. And a show like Top Gear needs to have ambition and scope. And it can't have if you're just stuck within your own borders. So going to Iceland with Paddy, it reminded me that there's adventures and scenery to be enjoying that we need to get back to for Top Gear.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think as well, Deon. I think with just being around the UK for most of the series, I think the show's a little bit different, a bit more creative, where you've got a bit of a mixed bag of stuff. You got all the fun and the cars. I go for my race license in more of a documentary style. Paddy does a tearjerker with the great Eddie Kidd. So I think it's allowed us to be a bit more adventurous in what we're doing, not relying on the travel, but more the content. Yeah, and that's something that the producers and everybody involved taking on board. It's something that we've really enjoyed doing as well.
Wow. Yeah. Thanks a lot, guys, for giving us the little background info. Before we get into the season, I've got some information as well as to what's coming up, and you touched on Iceland, which I'm also going to talk about that. We are going to talk about the cars, but let's talk about something different. I'm sure the fans in South Africa would love to know, what is your daily runner? What do you drive on a personal level? If you guys want to share that.
Well, I'll start with mine because mine's boring. These two have got loads of cars.
Oh, here we go. No, you just get flopped every week. Give it a rest, Paddy.
I'm a man of the people, Deon. I just have a simple Land Rover Discovery, and that does me.
Just sat outside your triple garage.
my phone just fell off its mount though. Even the dog's confused by that.
The dog's not having it either.
You can talk about Chris and Fred's extensive harem of cars now.
I drive a yellow Porsche 911 as my daily, and
what about a Tuesday, Chris? What do you drive on a Tuesday?
Well, I might look at other things, but I only drive the Porsche. It's the one that does all the miles. And I always promised myself when I was younger that I'd have a Porsche to drive every day. And I love it. It makes every day better. It means I can tolerate working with Paddy McGuinness.
And you, Freddie?
Well, we got a Range Rover, but the missus drives that. At the minute, I'm running around in a Ford Raptor.
Ah,
the big American one, not the one that they get over here, the Ranger, the big American one. But
have you still got the one from Ford UK?
I got it back last week. I asked for it.
Can I borrow it for a week in November?
Of course.
End of this month.
Yeah, get it whenever you want. Do you know, I had to wait an extra week for it because Sylvester Stallone was borrowing it.
Sylvester Stallone was borrowing it.
Stallone was borrowing it. So I said, look, if you don't get that car around now, I'm going to knock Rocky out. I want my car.
You know, you should take that Raptor on a little road trip up to the COP26. They'll love that up there.
I'll tell you what, it would be less wasteful than some of the stuff that's been going on there. Did you read about the Green Council that flew there from Brighton?
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I love the idea of the Raptor, Fred. That's a good shout.
Yeah. Funny enough, I actually had a chance to play around with the Raptor and the Thunder earlier this year. And
enjoy it.
Yeah, here's the fun part. I actually set up my DJ decks at the back of the Raptor.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
And played out to the open air, just to myself.
Well, one of the things I want to do in it is, but the weather in the minute is so bad, is just take it off somewhere middle of nowhere and just put a bed in the back and just do a bit of camping off the back for a bit.
Thank God you said that. Thank God you said that.
Well, you can always come off-roading here.
South Africa.
Sorry?
What was that, Chris?
Oh no,
so you can always come off-roading.
I was thinking that when Deon played his decks to the open air, it's a bit like Paddy at one of his stand-up gigs.
Well done. Well done on taking 10 minutes for that one. That was so quick.
Chris, don't worry. You want me to bring some backup? Yeah. By the way, I got a Frenchie. By the way, I was going to bring her in to show you to your dog, but I said no. We'll save that for later.
Oh well, yeah. So I've got an English. I've got the English Bull Terrier, who was obviously one of the ugliest animals ever born, but I love him.
Guys, let's get into the season. Right, season 31. We want to talk about so many things about the season. I think let's start off for the most important thing is the cars that were legendary. Supercars is what we come to Top Gear for. And I think supercars that are going to be featured there are great, but there's something legendary. The original supercar is going to be featured in Top Gear. You want to share about that?
Yeah, you could argue that the term supercar wasn't used until the Lamborghini Miura. There were sports cars and racing cars, but the supercar, I think, was a term we can all agree was coined around the Miura. And it's a crazy piece of engineering. It shouldn't really work. In some respects, it doesn't really work, but it was immortalized in the Italian job, and it was a privilege to drive one. And I've always been told they were rubbish to drive. This one wasn't actually. It was a lovely car, and it was nice for Top Gear to have another Lamborghini on that didn't get damaged.
Where did you source it from?
It came from just a high-end dealer in the UK. The insurance was rather a lot. In fact, it doesn't feature in our studio block around there because they wanted something like £9,000 to insure it to sit stationary outside Television Centre. So we just went, well, we won't have it there then. But yeah, I think the Top Gear is a pretty simple format, really, and we do need to deliver some slightly more serious car journalism. It doesn't have to be po-face, but it just needs to be, you don't always have to be acting the clown and being funny. We can do that stuff, and the more of that we deliver, the more we earn the right to then go and clown around, the three of us, and eat chilies and be stupid. So I think the best Top Gear episodes for me are the ones that have the broadest spectrum of that behaviour. You have something that's a bit straight or just beautifully shot, a story of a car, story of a person, and then after that you can have something very, very funny. So I'm glad the Miura's in.
Oh, thank you, Chris. With regards to the cars, I mean, obviously you had this legendary car with you, but tell us more about the Aston Martin Victor that is featured there. You got to talk to us about that.
Yeah, well, I was lucky enough to drive that car, and it's obviously it's a V12, I think 7.5 litre, absolute monster of a thing. But the weird thing is when you're driving it, it's naturally aspirated. It's so powerful, and it's a real visceral experience when you're behind the wheel. That when I got out of that car, out of everything I've driven on Top Gear, when I say I was soaked through in sweat from my socks all the way to my top, it's I can't explain what it's like driving that car. It was the most bonkers, wonderful thing ever, but I was wet through head to toe, dripping in sweat. But what a thing! And also as well, that's it now. It'll probably be taken away and put whoever owns it. I think some Belgian billionaire owns it or something. He'll probably mothball it, and that'll be that. You know, until he decides to roll it out again. But one of the most beautiful cars I've ever seen in the flesh, and driving wise, it's something I can't compare it to anything, to be honest, because it was just such a bonkers thing to be behind the wheel of. But I loved it.
Sure. Well, thanks a lot, Paddy, for that. Guys, can you share this with me? It's something that I've always watched the show. It's one of the shows that inspired me to transition from just being a radio presenter to going to the car field. But when it comes to car content, how honest are you three when it comes to what you say on it? And the reason why I'm asking you this, I think some of the manufacturers in South Africa are going to kill me for this, because if we are honest about a certain car, some of the car manufacturers won't even give you a car again because they believe, hey, you saying this about the car. I wish I could have you guys mojo, literally. but what is it like on your end? I mean, do manufacturers take it seriously when you say this car is,
Can I just say something about that? This is the beauty of Top Gear, in particular Chris, when he does his stuff on there. Like, for instance, the Rolls-Royce Cullinan, when it come out, Chris did a review on that and absolutely slated it. You know, now this is a £250,000 plus hyper SUV, all singing, all dancing thing. But I think all three of us didn't like the look of it for a kickoff. Chris drove it and really went to town on it, and obviously it puts noses out of joint, that, but that's what you've got to do. And if they say to you after that, well, you're not having another one of our cars, then so be it. Because I think it's important to be honest to the viewer, or else otherwise they're just going to go, oh, it's corporate. They're saying nice things about anything because they didn't know, you know. So that's my opinion on it. You know, Chris and Fred have their own say as well.
I just think you've got to be honest. Totally agree with Paddy. If a car manufacturer's reaction is we can't have another one, well, so be it. And I think it's the nature and the style in which you present your criticism is key. If it looks like you're making cheap shots or you're making generalizations or a lot of the stuff you're saying is a bit too subjective. I mean, the Cullinan lands me in slightly deep water because it was about the way it looked, largely, wasn't it? Or actually what it stood for. But I think if you allow yourself to be drawn into those areas, then I think a car maker does have every right to go, well, you've not really treated our product, which we've spent billions developing, with any great respect. But as long as you don't fall into those traps, then I think you should just say it as you feel it. And critically, there aren't many bad cars anymore. Okay, there really aren't many bad cars. Certainly in Europe. I mean, South Africa, there might be a few more budget vehicles that are made that are less capable, but that, of course, you can temper that against the fact they're so cheap. So they're allowed to be not so good.
There's still taxis, aren't there, over there?
Yeah. How do you know about that, Fred?
I've toured South Africa. I've sat in so many of them golfs, usually on the way back from a pub.
Sure. A taxi is one element of South African transport that will guarantee you will get there in the quickest time.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you have a supercar. It doesn't matter. They will find a way to maneuver through traffic. And that is legendary. It's like Need for Speed, the video game. Every car is insanely quick, but not in reality. But in South Africa, a taxi is that fast. They'll find a way.
How often do the taxis crash?
Not much, eh? I mean, as I mentioned, we just got out of a hard lockdown. So we are on a level 1. So everything is like almost back to normal. So we are seeing them, but nothing much has happened. I mean, not really. I think they don't go that fast in heavy traffic. I think they maneuver through. I think that's what Fred is trying to say. They maneuver through traffic. Yeah, so they break that law a lot. Paddy,
Nice
maybe
plug, I like that. It's called My Life is South Africa. Lovely plug.
wait, Paddy and Chris, have you guys been to South Africa?
No, I'm the only one who's never been. I think Chris and Freddie have both been. Freddie played cricket there, and Chris has done numerous road trips there. But I've yet to go, and it's definitely on our list to go to.
Oh.
And from what I've heard from yourself there, Deon, and other interviews we've done, this about the taxis, I think there's some sort of challenge where we could maybe take on a few local taxi drivers in trying to get to a destination quicker than they can.
Okay, what I'm gonna do is I've got a video. I know we're wrapping up things, but I've got a video where there's a taxi. I think there was a normal local tuning show happening, and the guy took a 350Z, which is an iconic car, and he was doing donuts around a moving taxi. Not a very fast taxi; it was a slow taxi, but it was in a major street center. So I will tag you on it on social media because I put it up, and have a look at that. Because I think if you guys come here, that's something that you should look at. So, guys, I'm just going to ask two questions quickly because now we've got a time constraint here. So, tell us about the Iceland trip. What are some of the things we can look forward to the trip in Iceland?
Well, you can look forward to me and Chris Harris in very short shorts and not much else clothing. That's for the ladies. Pretty sure the viewing figures will be up that night. And you can also see Chris Harris about what were you, Chris? About 1,000 feet in the air.
Oh God, I've forgotten about that. Yeah, that was horrendous. So it was a proper adventure. There was lots going on. It's a fantastic place to film cars. It's like Iceland's like a film set that was designed to film off-road vehicles. It's perfect. Black volcanic beaches, white tip volcanoes that were perfect conical shape in the distance, mountain ranges, strange green stuff sprouting everywhere. It's just perfection. We had lots and lots of fun.
Okay. And highlights for you guys on the show? What was the season? Even though it's 5 episodes, what are some of the highlights for you?
I think for me, Deon, I got my race license. So I filmed going through my race license and then going up to my first race in GT4. Without giving too much away, I didn't realise how hard it was. I think everyone thinks they can drive and they can drive fast around track. When you put 30 cars on there and it gets competitive, it's a completely different animal. So that's something I enjoyed doing. And we went caravanning as well in electric cars, which just turned into hilarity, which was just a great trip and great way to spend a few days.
Cool.
And I got to drive a DeLorean, which I'd never driven before. So we've done a small piece to celebrate the 40 years since that incredible Back to the Future film. So it's only a short bit, but the John DeLorean part of that is if you handed it to a Hollywood screenplay department, they wouldn't believe it. They'd say
it's a bonkers story, Chris, isn't it? It's bonkers.
I think for me, driving the Aston Martin Victor and meeting, I don't know if he's known that much in South Africa. One of my heroes when I was a kid was a stunt rider called Eddie Kidd, and I met him and we've done a little film on him for the show as well. So those two are standouts for me.
Wow. I'm really excited to check out the new season of Top Gear. Don't forget, it's coming out on the 25th of November. And here's the good news, right? The repeats are after my radio show, so I will never miss it.
There we go.
I'm never going to miss it.
We get paid for that, lads.
No.
Yeah, but gentlemen, thank you for being here with us. And it was really exciting to get an in-depth look at the new season. I'm sure the fans in South Africa are really excited to see it. So thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Deon.
Stay well.